Какую роль играют миазмы при выборе гомеопатического препарата?
Well, the idea of miasm is a big issue. It is something which is very important. At the same time, is not so important for homeopathy as much as is important for understanding genetic predispositions in that under this idea. Miasm is the genetic predispositions that we see in patients. So it is, we can say, the first man, the first doctor who spoke about genetic predispositions in so early as 1810 or 12. The genetic predisposition is an idea that came later on, and this subject was opened. And it is, I feel it is due to the idea of Hahnemann that the whole area of predisposition was starting. What I must say is that in this area, the ideas of Hahnemann were correct from the beginning, and they gave the beginning of the idea of how these predispositions are formed. Still today, there is no definitive answer concerning miasms. But Hahnemann had given the idea that predispositions have been forming because of three conditions, three states of health. The one is with syphilis, the other is with gonorrhea, and the third is with psora, with scabies. So this was an idea that was followed, but at the same time was never clarified of what was really meant when we spoke about miasm. So miasm is defining this predisposition that each patient has. In my understanding and in my experience, this idea of miasm was not so important in prescribing a remedy, and it could have created some kind of confusion within the homeopathic community. Miasms were creating predisposition, but homeopaths could not rely on this idea in prescribing. The idea of prescribing according to the understanding of the homeopath that this person has the syphilitic miasm is not really valid for prescription. Why I say that? Because I have seen a lot of times homeopaths who are trying to prescribe according to the miasm that they are prescribing wrongly. So, in spite of the fact that one could think that this person has been affected by the syphilis, either by direct infection or by his ancestors that were infected. In spite of this fact, one could not choose the remedy according to the miasm. So the miasm is a great idea because early it was understood that the organism is traumatized. And this trauma that has happened through an infection would carry on the whole of his life. But on this idea, one could not prescribe. You cannot say, this person is psychotic, so I will give him medorinum or thuja or any of the psychotic remedies. We have to rely on the totality of the symptoms, of course, and to prescribe accordingly. So we'll see many times that after having prescribed for acute conditions a few times in a patient, then the totality of symptoms have not disappeared. So therefore, we have to conclude that the prescriptions on acutes was not covering a deeper layer of predisposition. And then attentions should be put on finding out what is the overall reaction of the organism and prescribe accordingly, ignoring whether the totality would show a psoric remedy or a syphilitic remedy or a psychotic remedy. We cannot separate at this moment, we cannot separate cases according to the three minor. The reason is we as a generation, we have been influenced by a lot of chemical drugs that have manipulated or distorted the picture of the Maya to decide to give a remedy for his syphilitic condition or psychotic condition is a myth. It cannot happen. It cannot, the remedy will not act. The remedy either will not act or will act partially and will distort the picture. So always we have to rely upon the picture which is given by the defense mechanism of the organism as a totality and prescribe accordingly. This is really the difficulty in homeopathy because the organisms have been affected by pollution, by the psychological conditions of the environment and by all kinds of chemicals that are ingested in our life. So as a result, we can say that the miasms is a correct idea that cannot be utilized in prescribing. I know I am saying something that all the homeopaths of Mexico or whoever comes from this area, South America area, they don't like, because they like to think about, sometimes they have to project something which the patient does not have, a situation that it is not real with the patient. I have problems with the, knowing all the love that Mexican homeopaths have for miasms, and to destroy this is very painful. But I'm sorry to say that this is the reality today. We have to be effective in prescribing in order to command respect from the allopathic profession.